And our hearts were shattered.
Listen,
much like
you were there in
pieces that were falling from the sky.
Florida when that happened, the Challenger blew up?
My wife and I were in Daytona Beach, about 60 miles up the coast from the Kennedy Space Center.
Cape Canaveral, huh?
Cape Canaveral, yep.
So what did you see?
We were just driving along the beach and
Shuttle Challenger
we just saw this.
nearly twice the speed of sound.
We knew what it was.
Did you know it was going to be launched? Were you standing there waiting?
We weren't sure whether. No, we were driving in the car along the beach. You're allowed to drive along the beach down there, where we were at that time. And we happened to see it go. We didn't know whether it was going to launch that day or not. I had gone out to the.
Go ahead.
The crew's helmets give NASA their biggest lead.
Go ahead.
Each astronaut had an air supply attached to their helmet.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I had gone out to the Space Center the day before that, which is about a 45-minute drive from Orlando, to see it launch the day before when it was supposed to go. But due to technical problems and weather conditions and stuff, they scrubbed it for that day. The next day we were up the coast in Daytona Beach, and we had no idea whether it was going to go or not. We weren't even paying much attention to it until we saw it. So we get out of the car and got our cameras and stuff all organized, and we're taking pictures of it. We couldn't hear it. You couldn't hear anything. It was too far away to hear or feel anything. But you could see it.
All the different smoke, whatever it was.
We weren't even sure what happened. We just saw this fireball and the rocket booster going, and that's all you could see. We had no idea at all. None of us had ever saw a launch before or anything like that, so we really had no idea.
There was no people around hollering, oh, something went wrong?
No. There was a few odd people on the beach, but
you couldn't hear no noise?
Nobody knew what happened until about 2 or 3 minutes later. We stopped into an ice cream shop to get an ice cream, and it was all over the news by that time.
And it was cold that morning?
It was cold, Florida standards, not like it has been here lately, of course. It was cold enough to freeze. And they were saying later on that day that there were icicles all around the launch pad. They had delayed the liftoff for 2 hours that morning in hopes that some of the icicles would melt.
Yeah, I remember that.
And whether they did or whether they didn't, I don't know. But the problem with the loss of the space vehicle was in the was a malfunction of the O-rings and the solid rocket boosters, the 2 white rocket boosters on the sides of the external tank. I expect heavily that had a lot to do with the temperatures that morning. There were severe warnings from the manufacturers of the rocket boosters. I believe a company called Morton Thiokol, who overdoing it a little bit here. I just asked you, where were you? Warned NASA not
I never
to
asked the whole. I never asked the whole details of what's going on here.
There was one fellow sitting out west there. He said, "Absolutely, if they try to launch this thing, it's going to be a disaster." And he sat there and watched it on TV. He told them, "There's going to be a disaster."
Just like this over here, huh? That's. Yep, it was.
Hi there.
Okay, Mr. Barber, Mr. Know-it-all, talk to you later.
Yeah.
Devastating results.
Hi there.
But now, one man is convinced there's more to the story than the O-rings and the weather.
After the investigation, a fairly simple conclusion was drawn in the public mind about what went wrong. Cold plus O-rings. Put them together and you have a Challenger explosion. Well, there was more to the story.
Renowned author James Child has spent 20 years unraveling some of the world's worst technological disasters. He's investigated everything from the Chernobyl nuclear